The Philippines in the 19th century. In the 19th century, Filipino had suffered from feudalistic and became the Spaniard slave. Their social structure is ranked in three groups: the highest class, the middle class, and the lowest class. So in the highest class, these people are the Spaniard officials, the Peninsulares, and the friars. So they have the power and the authority to rule over the Filipinos and do whatever they want. When we say Peninsulares, these are the Spaniards born typically in Spain. They held the most important job and made up the number of the population. So when we say friars, these are the members of the smallest 13 religious orders of men. So in the middle class, this includes the natives and mestizos. When we say natives, these are the pure Filipinos. And also when we say mestizos, these are the Filipino mixed with indigenous or European or Chinese ancestry. Lowest class, these are the pure Filipinos. They are called Indios, the poor people having the pure Filipino blood that was ruled by the Spaniards. Using of frequent Spanish language was evident in this era. 19th century was considered as an era of profound and change in the Philippines. During this period, vast economic, political, and social and cultural currents were felt. In the 18th century, the monarchy of Spain experienced a dynamic shift from Habsburgs to the Bourbons. With the goal of invigorating the profitability of the colonies like Philippines, the Bourbons' policies and reform were out. By the time Basco arrived, the galleon trade, the main economic institution existing in the Philippines, was already a losing enterprise. The reason why there is an economic growth was because of the opening of the world trade in 1834. There are a lot of traders from different countries come to Philippines and took over the role of financing and facilitating the burgeoning agricultural cash crops. Some of the major investment came from British and American traders that set up merchant houses in Manila. With the opening of the world trade, Filipinos was able to export goods and products to other countries. So these products these goods and products are tobacco, sugar, cotton, indigo, abaca, and coffee. So the land became the primary sources of wealth because of cash crops. With the opening of the world trade and having these agricultural products abundant in the Philippines was well known in all parts of the world and as a major exporter of these agricultural products. So this was resulted to the rise of the middle class. So these middle class people rented a land from friars. They are the one who work to the farm. They are the one who will be harvesting the crops, and they will be the one who's sending the harvest products or the crops, and they send it to the traders who demanded the goods, the products, and the crops. In short, they are the one who will be benefited. The old products, the old goods that they were exporting, and they make money. They gain profit from it.
The Chinese and the Chinese mestizos.
The Chinese mestizo. The Chinese mestizos were an important element in the Philippine society in the 19th century. They played a significant role in the formation of the Filipino middle class, in the agitation for reforms, in the 1898 revolution, and in the formation of what is now known as the Filipino nationality. The Chinese and Chinese mestizos greatly benefited from the changing economy since pre-colonial times. The Chinese also proved to be necessary in Philippine colonial economy and society.
The sociocultural of the Philippines in the 19th century. The Spaniard brought fundamental changes in the life of Indio. They introduced new customs, religions, practices, and institutions. The social status of the Filipino under the Spanish rhythm remains low and is treated low workers generally called Indio. Growing numbers of educated Filipino natives give birth to a new social class called ilustrados, but still they suffer from a racial discriminations coming from Spaniard citizens. The life in the Philippines generally revolve around the extended family, including parents, grandparents, and the other relatives. Next is the environmental. During the 19th century in the Philippines, levels of our air pollution rose during the Industrial Revolutions, sparkling the first modern environmental laws to be passed in the mid-19th century.
The Spaniards ruled the Filipino in the 19th century. The Filipino become the Spaniard's slave. The Spaniards claimed their taxes and they work under the power of the Spaniards. There was a failure to make or achieve consistent policies. Policies constantly change from time to time because of the changes in government officials in the Governor General. And so the Philippines was very affected by the political situation in Spain. The political condition during the century, there were failure to provide basic needs like public works, schools, peace and order, taxes were never fully utilized, and limited participation with the Filipinos in government. And so, there was indeed political instability during the Spanish era. There was also sources of abuses in the administrative system. There was an appointment of officials with inferior qualifications without dedication of duty and moral strength to resist corruption for material advancement. Through the power and authority the Spaniards possessed, they collected the taxes and wasted the money of the Filipinos. There were two complicated functions to the unions of the church and the state. Through the power that the Spaniards possessed, they had the right to appoint the different positions. The appointment of positions is obtained by highest bidder, which is the Governor General of the country. There was also term of office. Term of office or term in office is the length of time a person, usually a politician, serves in a particular office is dependent on the desire of the king of the country. The Spanish officials traveled to various places and the needs of the Philippines were ignored. They did not put too much attention to the needs of other people. They were unable to face and solve the problems regarding to the Philippines. There were also overlapping of powers and privileges of officials which made them competitive. They were corrupt during the 19th century, and the alcaldes or alcalde is considered as the most corrupt over the other corrupts. The alcaldes or alcalde includes the administrators, judges, and military commandants. They usually have 25 pesos per month liberal allowances and privileges to take a certain percentage of money from the total amount of taxes. There were also monopoly trades or business practices known as indulto para comercial.
Thank you and have a nice day.